Yeah. So I
What's
had a
going on, Nick?
question about the direct mail for probates and pre-foreclosures, that kind of a thing.
Okay.
Because on the free wholesaling, you have the probate letter. Then on the what's it, mailing mastery, the postcards. Because I'm not really having much luck with for sale by owner, or as far as using Zillow, and I'm not really having much luck with getting government lists. So I figure I'm just going to basically focus on PropStream. And I'm wondering if it would be better for me to just like send postcards or letters to probates and pre-foreclosures instead of just trying to call them.
Well, so let's start with the first one, probates. There's two ways. There's only really two ways to attack a probate. There is no
Okay.
door knocking on probates. So you either mail them a letter,
Hmm.
never a postcard. It does not work.
Okay.
I do not like it. Number two, that's what I kind of call a warm call. Technically a cold call, but you got to treat it kind of like a warm call. You
Yeah.
can't be aggressive and you can't attack. And for the longest time, I did the mail piece. Why? Yeah, honestly, it was my ego, if I got to be quite frank with you, because I felt like I was intrusive on people. I'm very respectful of people. I've been through death in my own family, like I'm sure you have, and everybody else on this live. So, I got a lot of people that you don't get as much, but the reality is some people are okay with the letters. Some are okay with the cold call. So I played McDonald's, Burger King, and that's really the best way to attack it.
Yeah.
I will send a letter. The letters are really easy and it doesn't cost a lot. And there's not like a tremendous amount of leads. The downside is probates alone is hard to scale throughout the country. It's almost impossible to scale. Show me someone that scales hundreds of counties and I'll be super impressed. It's hard. You can have a company sell you leads, but usually it's garbage and trash. So I would never do probates alone. But when I do get a probate, they are phenomenal. They are high profit and they're the easiest deals we do. So I would do a McDonald's, Burger King approach. So as I always said, which one is I love? I love the quarter pounder, but I like the fries at McDonald's. And that's how you got to look at people. People get pissed off when you call them. I would never do business with someone cold call someone that recently died. Okay. I don't take it personally. I just move on.
Yeah.
They get a letter and go, how dare you write me a letter? That's so intrusive. Both ways, but every now and then the phone calls, if they're open and receptive, the phone call works much better than the letter. A lot of the older people respect the letter and they feel it's less intrusive. And the other thing with the letter is when they're calling you, it's a good indication that there might be some motivation to work with you on it.
Okay.
Like if I get 5 phone calls on a probates, I know I'll get 1 or 2 of them. I don't get 30, 40 phone calls. So if I mail out 100 letters and I get 5 phone calls, I can usually pull a deal out of that. And that's how I look at it. Now, the cold calling, it's all over the place. You have no idea. But what cold calling does is it beats the guy that does the mail. So how do I mix it up? It's Nick. So one of them you're going to address personally and one you're going to call from your business. That way, if one melts, you can deflect and go, I don't like McDonald's anyways. Their Big Macs are terrible. Or I hate the quarter pounder. I agree with you. Because I've met with a lot of people who go, Lamb, thank God you mail, because those guys that call, I take them off my list immediately. So that's number one. That's the best way to approach probates. The biggest key and takeaway from probates is you have to consistently stay in the game because it doesn't cost a lot of money. You could work 2 full-time jobs and easily do probates because they call you. And most people quit probates after 30 days because they don't get an instant result. So if you can find a way to stay through it and give it a minimum 6 months, preferably a year, you will be very happy with the outcome. The problem is everybody wants an instant hit on probates and it doesn't work that way. It never has. I quit twice because I didn't understand at the beginning. And somebody, a older gentleman sat down and go, Rick, do you want to run a race or do you want to run a marathon? Do you want to win the sprint or do you want to run? Do you want to win the battle or you want to win the war? And once I just go, okay, whatever, however long it takes, I was getting 30, 40, 80, $100,000 checks. And then I was still doing my wholesaling. Don't get me wrong. But as I leveled up and I was able to talk to more people, I got even better at probates. And I've learned if you're extremely consistent and patient with probates, you'll do well. If you're not empathetic and you're very aggressive type, probates are tough for people like that. It's just the truth. I take my time. I'll spend an hour and a half with somebody on probate. I don't care. And I don't even talk about price on the first phone call. Why? Because I got to get them to know me and trust me. Because every other wholesaler attacks me. What's the least amount you'd sell it for? I don't even know you. I don't know who you are. I know, but they don't want to waste time with them. I go, probates, if I'm only going to get 5 phone calls, I don't give a crap how much time I have to spend on them. Does that answer your question for probates?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so one thing that I've noticed with trying to get the government lists, because what I went ahead and did, let's see, how many markets did I write down? I wrote down Louisville, Macon, Georgia, whatever, however it's pronounced, just different ones. I called most of these. I called about probably I think 20 counties, and a lot of what I'm getting is number one, it's they don't email the lists, any of them really. And then I did find quite a few though. They were like, oh yeah, come into the government building, we'll let you take a look at them. But I'm really struggling just getting any anything as far as like the government lists. So I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong, but I'm assuming that I'm doing something wrong.
Okay,
So I'm not
which
sure
list?
to
Which
focus
list is
on
it you're
here.
talking about? I
The
missed it.
what?
Which list are we talking about?
Just any of them, like the water shutoff lists or the probate lists or the tax lien lists or anything, and I'm
So
just kind of getting stonewalled with all of them.
correct. So how long you been wholesaling for now, Nick?
Well, if I treated it consistently like a job, which I'm not, so I'm
Yeah.
still kind of dabbling, which
Okay.
I need to be a little more serious about it. Yeah.
So how much, honestly, I'm going to get to the root of the problem here. So,
Yeah.
and I'm here to help. So
Yeah.
I understand that. So we have to be brutally honest to really
Mhm.
give the clarity of what you need to do. How much time have you spent practicing talking to people? Because you're cold calling them, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And A+ for having the guts to do it, because most people won't do it.
Mhm.
So that doesn't scare you. I know that. I think you're struggling with your confidence to talk to people. Because
I am, especially when I'm trying to talk with, get the lists from, bureaucrats, and then
Well,
also when
so
sorry,
so
I don't mean to use that as a
so are we
pejorative.
talking about getting the list or actually doing the cold calling?
Actually, kinda like just basically getting the lists because I call these places and, I'm just kinda getting stonewalled.
So
So
are you doing it virtually or locally?
I'm doing it virtually. There's nothing around me locally that can,
Yeah.
yeah.
So if you refer back to my initial conversation,
Okay.
there are challenges with it. Now, you're not in a different country, so you have some advantages. But guys, the truth is it's only going to get tougher with AI because they're going to automate all their phone calls and you're never going to get a human being.
Yeah.
That's where it's all going. So if your shot to get it is now, because I'm telling you, by the end of this year, I don't think you're ever going to talk to a human at a government office again. It's just how
Mhm.
it's going to work. I can't change that.
Yeah.
And the only thing you can do is try to use your conversation skills and understanding it's a privacy policy. It's not a public policy.
Yeah.
And the only way you do is you got to get permission from the gatekeeper. They have the key. It's up to you
Yeah.
how you're going to get them to put it in that lock. It's challenging on the phone. It's almost
Mhm.
impossible email. And even in person, it's 50, 60% probability. These are just the world we live in.
Yeah.
Guys, I would love to come back to 2003 when I started this. Nobody told me how to do anything.
Mhm.
I didn't like reinvent the wheel. Like,
Yeah.
how do I get this list? It was so painful. So
Uh-huh.
like you got to pick your pain. Would you rather have no traffic and have to figure out the roadmap yourself and you wasted a lot of time and money, or someone gives you the perfect roadmap, but you have a lot of traffic?
Yeah.
It's each their own. I can't really solve that one for you.
Yeah.
I will tell you this. You have to do what AI and no computer can ever replace you in. You have to connect with people and have a conversation with them.
Okay.
And get it. You just got it. And if that conversation didn't work, call back, get somebody else and have a different type of conversation. That's all you can do. I can't reinvent the wheel for, if I could call and do it for you, I would. I could probably talk a little bit better than you because I've had practice doing it. But the reality is you just got to have a very personal conversation and you got to just put your best forward.
Okay.
And then when it doesn't work, just regroup, go chase another list, let it settle for a few days and come back to it. That's all you can do.
Do you think that like maybe should I focus on focusing on doing the prop stream stuff rather than even bothering with the government lists? Because at least then there's like
there is an advantageous if you're doing it virtually. You can get started using like prop stream or batch and you'll get your 10,000 per month and still work on those government lists. Listen, there's a reason they're called earn lists because it ain't easy. And like it would be easier if you could just pay them to get it, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Eventually the government will figure that out. I'm sure they will, but it's our tax dollars. So I think that's a reasonable request, but you've got to find other ways to attack the strategy. It's like if you're going to battle and you keep coming up to the fort and they keep shooting all your soldiers with arrows, at some point you got to regroup. I go, man, we got to find another way into the fort because we're all going to get wiped out if we keep doing this, and you're not going to be in wholesaling.
Yeah. Well, and it's the thing that it kind of impressed me with was like the bigger cities like Louisville and whatnot. They were like come into the government office, we'll let you look at the list. But it's like, there's just no way that anybody's going to email a list. I mean, it's like trying to, it's
Dude,
just,
it's the United States government. Like, do I
yeah,
need to say more? So,
yeah, okay,
somebody says on here, make your own list. Well, that's a driving for dollars, which you're a little bit limited on that.
yeah,
And, be creative. I mean, I wish I had a better answer for you, but it's just the truth. And that's where you're at. So
okay,
I would do like a listrei.com or something like that. And then I wouldn't give up on the government list. But guys, when you do it virtually, it is a little bit more challenging. But sometimes, listen, guys, I've had people get in a car for me and help me do stuff. But
Well,
I don't want to go on broke doing it.
yeah. I mean, I'm impressed by, a lot of the people in the Facebook group who, they've been doing it for like a month or two, and they already got like deals. I'm just like, ugh,
But listen,
it's
everybody's got to hear
inspiring.
me on this, okay?
Yeah.
Is you only compare yourself as opposed to what you did yesterday.
Uh-huh.
I made this mistake in wholesaling a lot. If you're going to try to race for somebody you see on the internet, you really don't know the true story behind it.
Yeah.
And you're just looking at the win. You're not looking at the challenge they got getting there. And that's a society problem. We all want the win, but nobody, they think the journey is really easy. I've never met somebody in wholesaling, for the most part, maybe a 2% exception, maybe 1%, where they had a super easy deal and it was all it was just beautiful. It was a dream. It doesn't work that way. The problem is you guys are sold a bunch of BS from all the coaches and gurus. Why? Because they're making millions of dollars sitting in their fancy studios. Just, hey, pay my course and then I'll give you the information. Me and Zach, for the record, are the only ones that ever stepped forward and said, here's all our information for free. And by the way, for 4 years, I've laid it out for everybody. So, I'm not here to monetize it. I'm here to actually help you guys out and do deals with it. You are going to have to fight your own journey. I get it. It's challenging. Virtual, do it. But start with the paid list and just reverse engineer the government list and just stick to it. It's not easy. And that's the big secret in wholesaling. You have to be consistent and keep going, even in spite of obstacles in front of you.
Yeah. And I really, I got to definitely treat it like, I wish I had the kind of patience where I could just sit there and focus on it for 8 hours a day for weeks at a time. But it's just, I don't have that patience.
But here's the key: it's not 8 hours a day. It's getting your list, getting it, and then just ripping through them.
Okay.
It's not sexy. This is not this is not an 8 to 10 hour a day job. In the beginning, it is because you're trying to put everything together. But once you get going, the reality is most people are not more productive than 2-3 hours in a day. It's just the truth. And I don't want you to be, because you're going to be your own boss when you do it. So keep at it, Nick, and it'll come to you. Okay.
Thanks a lot. You have a great day.
Okay.